All right, everybody, welcome to the October 16th Monday night meeting. We've got a lot of information to go through tonight, so let's get started. Oh, I gotta share my screen here first of all. All right, let's start going through some games here. And again, we're just gonna go through high level. Let's talk Riverview High at Odyssey. Who had that game?
I did. Nothing to report, nothing of consequence.
Okay. I had Bernice McNaughton versus Matthew Martin. And the only thing I want to say about this game, I'm going to put, because I've heard this from a couple game reports recently. When a team's up 35-0 and you're still pushing for an extra 2 points after a score or trying to kick field goals, it leaves a bad taste to the other. It just makes for a chippy football game. So I am going to make a mention in my memo to Perry this week and the coaches. MHS versus Tantramar. Who had that game?
Uber. Eric LeBlanc was a fly-in.
Yeah, I was at that game. It was actually a really well fought game. Nothing too exciting. We had an interesting penalty application, which I'm not sure if that's going to come up later in your video, Ray. But it's very simply offside against Team B and then intentional grounding against Team A. The logic of it is not coherent with the actual application, because you would think that intentional grounding is simply the player gets sacked. It's the equivalent. The reality is, when you have a non-distance foul in a dual foul application, it's a 10-yard penalty. So that one got misapplied. Other than that, no other lessons to be learned from that game.
Okay. St. John High and
I
KV.
have a question about that though. Is it loss of down or down over? Because each penalty has different application on that.
That one's loss of down in a non-dual foul situation.
Yes, I know that. But
Okay.
in the situation you described.
Yep. Oh, right. You would do back 5 down repeated.
Down,
If
that's
both
what I
were
thought.
accepted.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
You got a 5 and a 10 line scrimmage.
Yeah. All right, St. John KV.
Nothing fancy there. KV is bigger, faster, stronger, which I kind of expected the game to be a little closer than it was. But nothing really to report, just KV's bigger, faster, stronger. And I haven't seen any teams from the East, but I'm assuming that KV might be the team that is definitely coming out of the West.
All right. ESA and Leo Hayes.
Yeah, I had that game. It started off a really close game. We didn't have a lot of major penalties, which made the punch that was thrown and the ejection for it seemingly come out of nowhere. The first half of the game, I think it was only 7-0 at halftime, and then ESA just ran out of steam at the end. But other than the ejection, it was a pretty good game.
Okay. FHS and St. Max.
That was Boo Bear's game.
That was Boo
as
Bar
well.
too?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Rosse and Simons.
Bob Prosser's that was
Mike Lavin.
Lavin.
That was Lavin's crew? Okay.
Yeah.
I was on that game. actually a pretty good game. We had two Rosse players that got double OCs and sent to the bench for the rest of the game. Otherwise than that, there was one Simons guy decided he was playing WWE. Didn't really tackle the guy, picked him up and literally body slammed him to the turf, and then stood above him and did the victory sort of sign. So he earned himself a UR and an OC on the same play.
Okay. St. Stephen JMH.
Me again, chippy game towards the end of it, but nothing to report penalty wise. There was a situation where a kid was getting greasy and rolled off the pile and pushed another kid back down to the turf, and we gave him a UR, rightfully so, and I brought him over to the coach, asked the coach to sit him down, which he did. It didn't warrant a rough play in my opinion, but certainly a UR, and the coach was very helpful in sitting the kid down for a few plays to cool off.
Jack, you and I chatted a little bit earlier. So Martin Moore was on the bench. When you're dealing with the JMH team, are you dealing with Coach Perry? Is he the one that's basically dealing?
I don't know the guy's name. He'd been on the staff for a while. Wasn't Moore. He was there on the bench, but there was absolutely no issues with the James M. Hill bench whatsoever.
Okay, great. That's
Ray,
great to hear.
Ray,
Yeah.
I was talking with the coaches from Miramichi before we started. Mark Moore was asked to step down as head coach, but he's the defensive coordinator, and Rich is the head coach.
Okay. All
So
right.
that's what's going on over there.
Okay. Hampton at Harborview.
I had that one with the boys from St. John. We had a very entertaining first half. Hampton held their own, and then Harborview started to pull away. You mentioned earlier about a team going for 2 points when the score is 48-6 to score 2 points. And then the quarterback for the team for Harborview, who has been wrapped up by a player from Hampton, and they gently fall to the ground, and an assistant coach yells out, "That's a late hit too." There was silence occurred on the bench. That young gentleman is going to find himself removed from games going forward. It's the same kid who has been called for 3 objectionable conducts so far this year, 2 of them in one game where the crew sat him out. I don't know the kid's name. He is, I'm guessing, an offensive coach. Anyhow, otherwise it was a pretty good game. Other than that foolishness.
What team was that, Al? I'm sorry.
Harborview.
Thank you.
And what's the number, Al, of that player?
It wasn't a player.
Oh, it's coach.
It's an assistant coach.
Okay.
So we had one on him way back when St. Stephen played Harborview at Milledgeville. And then a week or so later, the guys who were doing the game had 2 OCs on him and sent him on his merry way with the headset.
Al, is that the defensive coordinator?
He's the little guy where I don't know.
So Ray, he was the one that I was there for supervising the JMH game.
Yeah.
He got he got 2 OCs removed from the game.
Yeah.
Went to the rocks at Shamrock with his headset on until the crew realized that he had it on, and then they had him take it off.
Yeah.
So by the sounds of it, he doesn't understand when to shut his mouth.
Good point. Yeah. Anyhow, that's it. Well, we had 1 UR face mask come. Rest of the game was played well.
I will I'll definitely mention that in my report this week as well. Acadia at St. Mary's.
Eric and I were in that game. We were the 2 only out of province guys in the game. I got to work field judge for the first time this year in almost a year and a bit. It was a well played game. I've got about quarter of the way through the game film so far. There's not a whole lot stunning going on. It was a good game. Oh, Acadia scored their first offensive touchdown Friday night this year.
Crazy. Mount A at St. FX. I can't really think of
We got
anything,
nothing to talk about on this one.
nothing
It's absolutely
special to
boring.
talk about on that one. I mean,
There was absolutely no specific official relations to this. It had nothing to do with the game. It was the most quiet, easy game to officiate. There was no bald-headed official for his first time ever doing an AUS game. So we just move on from this.
I did thank Jack before the game because I really appreciated the crew he put me with because I looked really skinny out there on the field. So I appreciated that from Jack.
That's right. Fathead wouldn't have fit into the fuck locker.
No, the only thing I want to talk about this play is I talk about this a lot in my pregame.
Talk a
Is
lot.
be ready for the first five plays of the game. Like be ready to go right from the gate. And on the first play of scrimmage,
It
we're
wasn't
at the 30-yard line, and it went the entire field for a touchdown. And my deep side guys were at the 45 when he was crossing the end zone. So you got to be ready for that first play. Okay. That's your scores for week 6. Even though my slide up there says week 5. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to send over to Al because Al has a update from.
No, it's not an update.
football.
It's what you're to do.
Okay. He's going to give us some instructions on Football Canada, and then he's going to go into his plays.
Okay. I'm now the host. All righty. So you guys from the island, this is old school for you guys. Any official in our province who is working towards a new certification level, so going from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, or 3 to 4, you need to go on the Football Canada website, which this is, I'm hoping the screen you see right now. Is that a
No.
yes?
No,
No.
you're not sharing anything, Al.
How do you share? Okay, try again. There we go. Sorry. Now can you see?
Yes.
Okay, so if you are working towards changing certification levels, you need to go to this site. Secondly, if you are an evaluator in the province of New Brunswick, you need to go to this site. New certification, evaluators, you need to go on and register. To do that, this is the homepage for Football Canada. Go to officiate on the drop-down menu. Then you will see officials online portal. Click on that, it'll take you to this pretty picture. Probably even some guys from the island there showing their smiling faces. So if you've never registered here, you're going to go to the registration bar or tab, whatever the heck you want to call it. And you're going to click on it and you're going to register. Now you're in the database, which is great because I don't know what it offers you. Robert and those guys could tell you more. They've been involved with it more than I have. But the neat thing about this is for our evaluators, once you get on, I will then be hitting up a Nick Murray to get you included as an evaluator from the NBFOA. Once you're there, you would log in as I'm doing now, and it would take me to this screen. On this screen, this is my home page. I would then click on evaluations. These are the things that are also available just to our guys on the levels that are available, so on and so forth. Different things you can take depending on what level you are, etc. So going back up here, because we want to get people evaluated, I would, if I'm an evaluator, one of our guys would go to evaluations and I click on it and you see all these funny 4 names. So these 4 guys from PEI have all completed, and I've done it for them, different levels of certification evaluations. When it's completed, I go to the site, and just like Bill Picker will want you to do with your evaluations that we do now, and upload it into the Google Drive, you're going to do the exact same thing here. It's the exact same form. You don't have to do 2 different forms. You have it on your laptop. You click download, you go to add evaluations over here. You click on that. It'll give me this. And I will search somebody from some place in Canada or New Brunswick preferably. Their name will come up. I'll click on it and then it'll ask me to upload the evaluation. It's that simple. And for guys who are working towards changes in certification, you need to register here so I can find your name here, or Bill Pickerel can, or Jim Fowler, or whoever the evaluator is. Clear as mud. Bill Pickerel, how long did it take you to register?
Oh, not long at all. Couple, 3 minutes.
Okay. So once you get the registration done, and if you're an evaluator, you need to let me know you've registered. Then I go hunting for Nick Murray. If you're just an official who is doing, not just an official, if you're an official doing changes of certification, when your evaluator is doing it, let them know you're registered so we can upload it. And it's just a means of tracking so that for tournaments, we know whether it's a legit level 3, 2, whatever. If you travel across the country, this travels with you. Okay, that's any questions?
No.
Al, is that after you've done the theory?
Yeah, after, so you just finished the 3, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay, so after you've done the theory, you've got to get an on-field evaluation done. So you should
I've already
register.
done my 3s finished, but if I was to do
Okay.
the theory for the 4, then I'd register
Okay.
after I do the theory.
But you're not loaded up here yet. So you've got to go on back where I said you register. Or have you
Register as
done
a
that?
3.
Have you done that?
I have not.
Okay.
No.
Like Bill says, it'll take you 3 minutes. Okay, and once you've finished the registration, send me an email, and then we can find out who has your evaluation. We can upload it.
Oh, okay. From
Okay.
when I did my. Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Perfect. We're out of there. Okay.
Just a quick comment there, Al, just so everybody's aware. That's for both tackle and flag, so you can actually do both. There's a set of evaluations there for both. So, with the big announcement today, there might be more interest in flag. So if there is, you can also get your levels there in flag as well.
Yeah, exactly. We could all be going to the Olympics.
Gates, I have a quick question for you. As an evaluator, if we do a crew evaluation versus an individual evaluation, that's not being uploaded, right?
No, correct. It's only change in certification.
Okay.
Okay. Alrighty, so video time. I had 20. I've got it down to about 12 because I wanted to take some time to talk about that Football Canada stuff. So we're going to go to the 12-a-side games first. I've got 2 clips to show you from the KV OHS game. The first clip is clip 4. So we're getting really good, or pretty darn good, at line of scrimmage officials signaling screen passes. What we need to do as officials who are working umpire in deep positions or opposite line of scrimmage, we need to be cognizant of players going downfield who shouldn't be. So if they're downfield on the screen, we're good. But if we're not picking it up when they're not downfield, then we have an issue. So we have a 7-member crew. So in this case, for those who don't work very much 7, our 2 line of scrimmage guys hold the whole play until the ball crosses the line of scrimmage. Okay, it's a screen pass. So if it weren't a screen pass, this is one of the things I talked about last year when we did this. If this isn't a screen pass, this blocking is illegal and it should be called if it's not a screen pass. Because it is, you're allowed to do that. So we have signals from both sideline guys, and away we go. All right. Need the signals so deep officials can decide whether to call that an illegal blocking downfield, illegal contact blocking downfield, or ignore it because it's a screen pass. Questions? Jumping through quick. Okay, this is the second one, play 89. And it ties right into what we just watched. So this player right here. Okay, is that legal?
No.
No. It's illegal. It's illegal contact blocking downfield, which is the team A variation of illegal contact. That would have been a 10-yard penalty if we catch it. Okay, so if it was a screen, we're good, but that's just the opposite of what we saw on the first clip.
Is this still a 7-person crew?
This is still the same game, yeah.
So who's the best official to pick that up?
Okay,
Deep sideline.
That's good. That's judge.
that's this player right here.
That's your third guy in. That's your field judge.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, so in this case, it should be deep center guy picking that up. Okay, you should watch. Keep in mind, in any crews where we're working a man concept and then shifting to zone, our man coverage is usually about 5 to 7 yards off the line of scrimmage if there's a threat to the player. So in this case, that player becomes the threat. Okay, releases out. Okay, he creates a threat to another receiver because all players of Team B are receivers, eligible receivers. Okay, so somebody hopefully could have picked that up. Okay.
And with the colors of those jerseys, I can't see why you wouldn't be able to pick that up.
Anybody that's doing KV in the future, and if you're doing 7-man, the quarterback's left-handed, but he likes to roll right. Just a little bit of a curiosity.
Okay, so this is from the Moncton High Harrison Trimble game, the homecoming game. Oh, sorry, that was the first play I wanted to watch. Okay, so we have and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is another crew of 7 for the homecoming.
That's correct. It was.
Okay, yeah. So not a long kick. We got all kinds of players there.
Can you just back it up, Al? Just
No.
back it up.
To where?
Right. Okay, go ahead.
Do you want to slow or? We good?
Mm-hmm.
So note, we have 4 officials at the pile where almost every player is standing. And we have 3 officials on the outside watching the stuff from a distance. A well-covered, semi-short kick where bad things could happen with all kinds of fighting and gnashing of teeth. So well-covered, keep that in mind as you go forward. And it can be done with 4, 5, or 6 or 7 member crews by covering it, collapsing in on the play and having people outside watch. This is a punt play by Moncton. So in this situation, who's going to have the ball?
Field judge.
The field judge. So I'm not sure who it is. I think it might be Bob. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So Bob has the ball. He has the ball carrier. Okay, so I don't know, and I'm not being critical, but if we watch, the ball's in the center of the field. Okay. We have a foul that occurred just as the ball is coming around the corner. So it's going to be this play right here. So there's nothing wrong with the field judge catching that. Because this guy, his responsibility is not threatened yet. Once you throw it, you can't focus on it. So this flag from that sideline person is a great flag because that's their first prime responsibility. I don't know if there was something else happened or not.
I think it was at 18 on 32 that.
This right here?
Blind side on this side, yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay. So we had 2 fouls on the play. Okay, so we have a UR and a, okay, thank you. I didn't know that, as I said. But the coverage of the ball carrier and that first illegal block was perfect. And then now that we know what the second part was, it was well covered. Here's a trim.
So was that forcible contact for a blind side? I'm just throwing it out there.
I think we call it, or it was an illegal block, I think.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks more
I
like,
don't
it
think
looks
it was-
more
yeah.
like, it looks more like an illegal block to me than a blind side.
Yeah, I made the call of an illegal block instead of a blind side, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. All righty, perfect. Well covered. St. Max and St. 43. Okay. So St. John High, St. Max, the Canada Game Stadium. This is a kickoff late in the game to the sideline. Okay, so as officials, what do we need? What are at least 3 things we need to know right now as that ball's en route?
Does it go 10
yards? Does it go 10 yards?
Who touched it first?
Who
And
touched
where?
it first?
And where?
Sorry, Jack, and where?
And where?
Yeah. Anything else?
Blocking.
Okay, so we got to make sure we have clean blocking.
Who touched it last?
Who touched it last?
Who recovered it?
And who recovered it? So we need all those pieces of information on this, and we have to process that now, not after the play's done, but we need to process it now. And the one, going back to what Jack mentioned about who touched the ball, and not only who touched it, what happened to the ball or the player that touched it after they touched it. Okay, remember the new rule that was brought in, I'm going to say 2 years ago, with a kick to the sideline. If a player jumps up in the air and touches the ball and the ball stays in play, it's live. The player jumps up in the air, knocks the ball out of bounds, and that player lands in bounds, it's theirs. If that player jumps up in the air, knocks the ball out of bounds, and they land out of bounds, we have a what?
Penalty.
We have a penalty.
Illegal kickoff.
Okay, so a lot of information. This guy and this guy need to start processing based on that initial kick. Okay. So what we need to do is make sure, and we're not doing this enough, and I'll show you in another clip later. We're not using the out of bounds enough, none of us. Okay, so make sure we use that out of bounds for our safety. So make believe right now, let's say it went 10 yards. Who's getting the ball next? Okay, so just make on it went 10 yards. Who's getting the ball next?
Can you go back a little bit?
Yeah, okay.
He's out of bounds.
He's out of bounds. It's an illegal
Okay.
kickoff out of bounds.
So we have an illegal kickoff, so we have penalties. Now, there's a piece of information that we are giving up right now. What's the piece of it? It's like, who has the spot? Is the spot important?
It is.
Don't you have to
important
raise your
for walking
hand?
away from it.
Yeah, raise your hand so the referee can tell, well, it wouldn't be on his side, tell you where it went out. But
We
no one
need
has a
some-
spot.
We need somebody, back up,
Yeah, gotta hold the spot or drop a beanbag, do something.
do something, yeah.
And number-
Wait for your
number-
partner to release you something.
Okay, So right there, we need to know where the ball was touched or where it went out of bounds. And in this play, it wasn't a big deal. Okay, in this play. But this could have been, this player could have been right here doing that. And now we've left the spot. It's a key that we hang on to that and don't lose it. Okay.
Your umpire's got to stay behind the sideline there too. That's because he's probably missing information from the kickoff to how this guy got close to the sideline. He might have been walking on the sideline on the way down.
Yeah.
He's not going to know because his back was to it.
Yeah. All kinds of stuff in one little silly little play. That's why we put our new officials on the sideline. Okay, what's the next one? Yeah. Okay, first question is, do we have a dual or do we have a single?
Duel.
Don't forget to let go of that flag. So the question goes back again. Do we have a kill play? Or do we have one foul? Or do we have two fouls?
One foul. We have one foul. The defense is offside. You should kill it because he broke the plane.
Okay. So we have one foul with this guy right here. Okay. This player, being a wideout, has the opportunity to get back, not be called for a foul. Okay. So I pulled this one out because it's happened a whole bunch of times in a couple of games that I've watched. So is there anything wrong with this play? If there, that should be if there was. Okay, so is there a problem with the play?
I need to see it again. Where's the ball carrier?
Well, at 95 never sets. He's standing up, holding his hand up.
Yeah, the line wasn't set at all.
Yeah. So this was blown dead and redone.
Was it? Okay.
Yes, it was.
Are there 13 guys out there, or is it just because it's a small picture and I can't see?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
There is
11, 12.
13 guys.
You got 13 blue or yellow? 1,
Yellow.
2, 3,
4.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Okay.
Is there somebody further out there? No.
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 Okay. All right. So the point is whether it was replayed or not is part of the issue. But this type of behavior is starting to show up, especially in games that are tight and players aren't sure what they're doing. I think on Saturday, the Crew during the Hampton game, we could have called one of these every 4 or 5 plays. Okay. For that one. So we are getting close to the playoffs, and we are starting to see more and more of this. And it's not just at this school, and it's not just this Crew, where we're getting all kinds of people on the sideline. And I believe the play previous to this actually has Fraser. I think it's Fraser that's covering the sideline. Fraser actually bumps into the camera kid who's sitting like these kids, but right about here. So for our safety and for their safety, let's be cognizant of getting those people off the sidelines. Okay. And Ray, that might be something you might want to add in your notes to Perry and whatnot, that schools need to be more aware of fans creeping onto the field as we're moving closer to the end of the season.
Is number 25, is that the number of the actual game film clip?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 25.
If you watch it to here, I want to go a little bit further. I'm not sure if the camera will help us or not. But when the camera actually swings back, this whole corner down here is full of people.
Okay.
Right at the and well, mind you, some are on the dead ball line, but they come right around the corner. Okay. Where'd that go? Okay, 119. Okay, so question to you all, again, it seems to be the topic tonight. You're going to watch this receiver right here, where my cursor is. Let me do this. This receiver right here, the little guy. Okay. So can he block before the ball gets there?
And if it's a screen pass,
Is it a screen pass?
no hands in the air.
It's across the line of scrimmage.
Guy right here is going to catch the ball. Okay, that's a forward pass. This could be called, should be called. Okay.
Al,
Yeah,
this may be minuscule, but what do we do when the lines aren't 10 yards apart?
when the lines aren't 10 yards apart, then you need to determine.
Well, the previous play, it showed that you showed with the people on the sideline. It looked like the lines are much. It just seems like the lines aren't where they're supposed to be. And then if you fast forward to the next play you just showed, it seems as though that lady's on the whatever, and that gentleman's short by half a yard on the left-hand side.
Okay.
They look pretty good there.
Yeah.
I think she's on the other side of the line.
Are you lying down, Chris? Sorry. No, we still know what the line of scrimmage is, and we know what players are downfield.
I agree, but are we going to have some coaches pissed off because they assume they got 10 yards and when really they got 9.5? I mean, I've been to a Riverview game, so it's irrelevant to me, but could this be a problem later on?
If not, if it's something that if the crew knows and they converse and inform both teams of the situation.
Chris, are you,
both teams.
Chris, are you asking because the ball looks like it's closer to the line than where the 3 down marker is?
No, the lady next to the downs box looks like she's right on that line, maybe a step off. And this gentleman over to the left looks like he is short as well. So I just,
No, I think they're good.
Yeah,
I think she's like 6 inches to a foot, and he's about the same.
Chris, I understand your situation, and we have that with the JMH field. I don't know if it's any better this year, but we've always just told coaches we're basing ourselves off the yardsticks and not the lines on the field. Lines on the field are just guidelines.
and like St. Stephen was the instant one that comes to mind. St. Stephen, I believe one of their end zones is like 12.5 and the other one's 18 or some. I don't remember the exact distance, but we marched it off one year and it was aggressively from one side. So I guess, Al, do we have any issues there? When we don't, let's have to go to Riverview and I'm not aware of these.
You're breaking up. I don't know what you're asking.
Well, you said if the crew knows that the field is not lined properly, as long as all the crew is aware. Well, this looks like Riverview, and I haven't been there this year. So let's say me and 3 people from St. John and 3 from Fredericton go, and we are unaware that this field is not potentially lined properly.
Well, Chris, number one, when you do your field inspection, your sideline guys, if they have any questions at all, should be pasting them off. They should be pasting off the hashes. They should be checking all of those things. The other thing I can tell you, to my knowledge, the Riverview field now, as it was last year, is properly lined. In years gone by, potentially not.
Their ends are properly lined.
I understand. Well, they're not having another, well, they might have. The field was lined correctly with the exception of 2 sidelines in the end zone, and I believe that has been corrected. But the main part of the field, the hash marks and the main lines were done correctly.
And Bill, as far as I can see, that was an isolated incident this year. I've done 3 or 4 games there. That was the only game where the lines were not correct.
And it was a minor issue.
Yeah, very much so.
But
And
won't
again-
both teams have the same disadvantage or advantage because they're each going to be playing on that field going different directions. So they're all going to be affected by it.
Exactly.
Well, it's just like Jim was saying, you do that, you figure that stuff out in your pregame, you mention it to referee umpire, both coaches are informed, and we move on.
Has anybody gone to the St. Stephen where they had a very ingenious idea? The field is a yard wider. So there's 2 55-yard lines about a yard apart. So depending on which end you're coming from, you actually stand on one line or the other.
Hmm.
Do you remember Joe? I think Joe was there. And who was there?
What's that?
The St. Stephen
Who's that,
field.
Bill?
The St. Stephen field that had the two center lines a yard apart. And that's how
Yeah.
they made the field equal.
Yeah.
Who was with us, Mike? I can't remember.
You're
the
right,
rep
Michelle.
was. Leo was there, yeah.
Anyhow, iron it out before your pregame. Both teams are playing on the same field. I believe somebody that's on the video tonight, when Hampton High School played their first game at the high school, and one end zone was 6.5 yards deep and the other was 10. And one of the teams said, we're forfeiting, we're not playing this game. And the referee said, you decide, the field's fine to play on. I think it was Ray Muir that made that comment. Okay, so this is the 9-a-side football. This is a good no call. Okay, so you're going to watch these 2 birds as they go into the end zone. In particular, watch the defense. Did they do anything wrong? Number 44 in green.
He wasn't playing the ball, and did he shove the guy? Can't tell.
Nope. Kid jumped and fell.
If there's no contact, there's nothing wrong.
But good. I think, did he get his head? If he didn't get his head turned around, did he screen him with his hands up in his face?
No. And see, the screening aspect of it is the hands must be up and not just shooting straight up type of deal like this kid tries to do, and it's outside his shoulder. So this is actually a good no call on the
See,
play.
the defender's hands don't go up until the receiver's hands go up. So he's just trying to time to block the ball.
Yeah.
He's watching what the receiver's doing. He's just trying to time the block.
And fortunately for us, covering official called it right. Coaches didn't like it. Say la vie.
Al, Robert from PI here.
Hi, Rob.
We have that same incident here exactly, and that's why Nick is asking. The head does not have to turn as long as his hands aren't in the face screening. And exactly as Patrick said there, his hands went up, but were nowhere near the face. He was maybe blocking the ball, blocking the arms, whatever. But when a ball is thrown short, let's say that was a little bit shorter and the receiver's trying to come back, does that change the call?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because if the ball's thrown short and the receiver is now trying to come back and the defender keeps going, now we have a pass interference situation. If it's a catchable ball, but yeah, if the short throw, the offense is trying to come back to the ball and the defense continues to run in the same direction he was going, now we have a pass interference against the defense. If the defense comes to a stop and the offensive player comes back and runs through him, we have offensive pass interference on that short throw. But with the screening, the player's head, with screening, it's a prolonged doesn't mean a long, long time, but its hands are up and they're held up there. A screen is not a hand shooting up at the last second to try and deflect the ball away. Screening is trying to block the sight of the receiver as the ball is en route, not the hand shooting up at the last second to try and bat the ball away. So this is a good no call based on the evidence that happens right here, even though the coaches don't understand it.
Thanks.
Was that good? Okay. Oh. An interesting play. Okay, we have an attempted field goal. Bonk. We have a long run for a touchdown, I believe. And if you watch back here, only one referee who gets on the pony right away. Okay. So it's one of those, a block field goal is a play in which you can pick it up and go with it. I have one last thing. I just got this note, just was sent to me, and just so everybody's aware, in high school in New Brunswick, in age group in New Brunswick, AFL in all three provinces, and even the AUS, when a team tells the referee that they are taking a knee, there is no play, meaning that the defense can't attack, the offense can't make a move. But the offense must promptly go to a knee in a close game situation. So the note came from one of the Holland College, and I just got it. And there was a bit of time left, and so the quarterback wants to run the timeout with 11 seconds. So if he comes up and it's a hold clock, he takes the snap, he goes back a step or two, and then goes down to a knee. Doesn't go back and stand there. And as a referee, if he goes back and stands there, you go a 1001, 1002, kill the clock.
Do we have a specific score? Is it still 8 or more?
Nope. No, we want them to do it promptly. There's no 8 score. There's nothing like that anymore. But this was a close game, and they wanted the opportunity, whether time-wise or whatever. But the quarterback was told, no, they'd have to protect themselves. So if the quarterback comes out and says, we're taking a knee, there's no play in any of the leagues that we referee in Atlantic Canada. Okay? And I didn't, that wasn't on the repertoire, it just happened to show up. Participants, I want to find.
Wait, so Al, does that mean if there's no play that the game is over, or the
No,
quarter?
no. So that in this play situation, I haven't read the whole text that I just got. So there's 11 seconds left.
Right.
Okay. And the first play is a hold clock. So the clock's not going to start until the ball snaps. So the quarterback takes the snap, steps back, has told everybody, I'm going to a knee. The referees have done that. Takes the snap, goes back, and either goes to the knee promptly, or the referee counts 1001, 1002, whistle. We now set the ball. If we have nothing that's going to hold the clock, we roll the clock. When we get to zeros, he takes the snap, goes to the knee, game's all over. So there's no, yes, yeah.
Can I just add some context? I didn't do the game on PEI that day, but I watched the stream. They were maybe on their 1 yard line there. Like it was really close.
I was about to add.
Yeah. So
really?
You're not getting the full story. So what happened was the QB ended up doing kind of an impromptu sneak. And that's probably where he's getting mixed up. You have to protect yourself. If you're going to run a sneak, it's not going to be. So on the stream, because they did a goal line stand. They were on the 1. Correct me if I'm wrong, or whoever was there.
Perfect. I always like getting extra information.
They were extremely close to their own goal line.
Okay.
I think it was on the 2 on first down, and then it was on the 1, obviously, and that's why he lunged forward.
Ah, okay. All righty. I will clear the information up with him. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
I'm done, Ray. You're up.
Okay, make me host again.
You are.
I just got an email back from Perry, and he has said that we are absolutely not to be using any drone footage, and that it will be discussed at the high school AGM in 2024.
Perfect.
All right. So anybody that's trying to tell you that they want you to look at their drone footage, we won't be doing it. All right, let's share my.
Sorry, we had one game where the drone was there, and we stopped the play and just got rid of that drone. We didn't allow it on the field at all. I think that was up at McNaughton.
It's McNaughton early season. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of teams here in the St. John area that do it, and I think it's the same young fellow that's doing both. He's a trained pilot, and he doesn't have the drone over the field at all. It's almost over the track, and he just videos from out there. He asked me during the MFL season if he could do it, and I said, I have no problems with it, but he cannot be anywhere near the field, and he's been following that religiously. They all are.
We have them here on PEI as well, or there's one club team that does.
Yeah.
What I can say is that I revert back to actually what we kind of have that I've seen at national tournaments and international tournaments is that you are allowed to have a drone. They must stay in the offensive backfield, and they may never go above players, essentially. So if they fall out of the sky, but that was the stance that Football Canada has taken. They're allowed above the field. They're not allowed in the other team's huddle. They have to be in that team's offensive backfield or defensive backfield, whichever it is, and it must not be above players.
Yeah. Technology.
Is that for tackle, Nick?
That was for flag.
Okay.
As well, on the flag side, we've discussed as well because I'm sure you guys are the same, maybe not, but electronic devices or dual communication devices. We started discussions with Football Canada, not about two-way communication devices, but one-way communication devices. So it was the first time we saw it, but this is basically this wristband and they can it's a one-way communication that puts in this is play 1, this is play 2, and it's like an electronic thing. So we've discussed that as well at the national level. What's going
It's
on?
probably like PitchCom with baseball.
You should reach out to the Tackle Rules Committee, because that was approved for tackle.
Yep.
Jim, do you recall, was it 2 years or 3 years ago?
Yeah, well, we didn't have to change the wording, as it turned out, but it's been approved by the safety committee.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
approved by Football Canada. They were actually, used, not this past Canada Cup, but the previous Canada.
Previous one, yeah.
The supplier, gave some teams.
And that's exactly where we took from on the flag side, that's exactly where we took that policy from Jim as well, is that is from the standard that was set at that Canada Cup. But and then I think that was Patrick that said that they are exactly like baseballs.
That's what they are, yeah.
Yeah. Whatever, pitch collar, whatever you want to call it. It's the exact same theory.
Well, I'm sure it's going to come to tackle football at some point, but as of today in New Brunswick, there is no drone usage. So I'm sure Perry's going to address that with the coaches this week.
Well,
So, Brett,
whoa,
I have
whoa.
a question. Like, you say no drone usage or drone video usage? Because
Well, he just says absolutely not. I will clarify that question with Perry tonight, and I'll have that updated for my weekly memo this week. But
okay, because it's been 6 weeks, and to my knowledge, there's been drones at every game that I've been at.
yeah, I've
Mine
seen it a couple times, not every game. I mean,
But I'll be clear, it's never been on the field. It's
Right.
always
Yeah, no.
a high side. It's essentially replacing the stands.
right,
It's replacing
right.
the guy from sitting in the stand, doing it from the stand perspective, and it's now essentially over top of the teams. I've never had an issue with it. One of the coaches in St. John this weekend got himself a flag for pointing to it. And if I had my best Gates ability, I would have thrown the flag at the drone after he pointed to it. But I wasn't on my A game, I guess. Poor Pat. I should have done my best, Pat.
All right, let's move on. I'm just giving you a little update where we are with fouls. So after week 6, our major fouls in week 6 actually went down. We are at a total of 289 major fouls this season. We've had 6 ejections this year. I had to go back and look at some numbers again, but we had 6 ejections this year compared to 3 total last year. And we've had 6 players removed due to 2 OCs, 3 URs. And those numbers will be shared with coaches this week too. And there's certain players that we're starting to see trends on, and those trends will be announced to the coaches this week as well. Penalty cards. We need to do some work on our penalty cards. So on a number of penalty cards, I'm still seeing situations where we have UR with no explanation what the UR was for. OC with no explanation what the OC is for. We need that information. I've had a couple cards now where I'm starting to see this one, OC dead ball foul. And it confuses me having to provide information to the NBIA because I don't understand what OC for dead ball foul is. We've talked numerous times over the past few years that if you have physical contact that you're throwing a flag on after the whistle's been blown, that should be recorded as what?
UR.
It's a UR. It's not an OC. So, we really have to make sure that we're getting this stuff, we're getting this information correct.
Can I rephrase that?
Yes.
OC is a dead ball foul. A dead ball foul is not an OC.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. OC language. Okay, I just want to have a quick chat about OC language. And if this is open for discussion here. I want to hear your feedback as well. In my game this week, we had an OC for language. To a team that was down 40 points. And as officials, as I thought about this afterwards, I would really prefer not to throw that flag. I would really like us to communicate, hey, number 8, you got to keep that down. Number 8, let's take that down a notch, versus throw the flag on it. I know the MBIA's on us about swearing. They're on it on every sport, hockey, badminton, basketball, you name it. But we have such a wide field of space. We should be able to control this better by having conversations with the players versus flagging a team in that situation. What are your thoughts on this?
I agree.
Yeah, Ray, I think one of my comments here is that we have been given such strong direction for zero tolerance.
Yeah.
So yes, it is incorrect for a player or coach to use foul language on a field. Doesn't necessarily mean it requires a flag to resolve. And I think that's the message that I'd like to get across. I usually like to say, was it loud or was it directed towards someone? If someone missed a tackle and they swear to themselves, you can jump on them and just say, I'm watching you, or whatever else, keep the language low, but that doesn't require a flag.
No.
Ray, I'll say what I tell my crews every time. If the language is directed to an opponent, to an official, or loud enough that the stands can hear it, it's it's not up for negotiation. That's a flag. If a kid, like Eric just said, if it's a kid that's mad that he missed a tackle, missed a catch, and he swears at himself, I usually go up. If I hear it, I tell him to pick a different letter of the alphabet. And it's just kind of that common. If we went around and flagged every kid for every F word, we would never get it done.
Yeah.
So let me ask this question. So on Saturday, when I met with the captain from Hampton and Harborview, and I went through my little spiel, and one of the things I said was to play hard from whistle to whistle and keep the rest of the bullshit out of the game. And then I said, and I don't want any swearing on the field. I probably shouldn't have said that. Because that's exactly what I said. And the kid said, you just swore. And I said, I'm older than you and you're not allowed to. Anyhow, it broke the tension. There was no issues with language in our field.
Yeah.
Well, they all think you have Alzheimer's, so they're not sure what to think of that comment anyway. I'll see you Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Well, at least we got proof that it was Al said this time around.
Got it.
Anyways, let's have a conversation this week before our games, and let's all go out onto the field with the same message as a crew, so that we're calling this the way we want to call it from the NBFOA's perspective. I understand what the NBIA is trying to accomplish. It will never, no matter what campaign they run, they will never 100% remove language from sports. It's sports. So let's just try to manage it the best we can as officials on the field. All right.
I will add an extra comment from one of the games that I saw this weekend, Ray. If you are trying to report an OC for language, it's not the best idea to report it like you would offside, by yelling at the referee from across the field. That's something that's best done by bringing it in. It's best done by having a calm discussion with the coach or player. Yelling at them is just not going to make things better.
Agree with you 100%, Eric.
Can I add to that, Ray?
Yeah.
When we have an OC foul, put language, and that would constitute a curse word loud enough, or add an opponent or add an official. But if it's something where, a kid's telling someone else to look at the scoreboard and being aggressive in that sort of language thing, and you tell them to go away, then that constitutes taunting.
Yeah.
I would rather clarify that it's a language versus a taunt, I guess.
It's not language. It's profanity.
Yeah.
That's what they want. So you have an OC for the use of profanity, or you have an OC for comments that were considered to be unsportsmanlike at an official or at an opponent, or you have an OC for a taunt. Simply saying language doesn't cover it.
And you need to make the game report much larger for us to type all that in.
Well, beside the foul, like on the game report, you have the number, the foul, and there's a spot for notes.
Yep.
Right? So you should be able to accomplish some of that on that report. And then you also have a couple fields below to expand if you need to.
Okay, so I guess the question to that is have I been doing it wrong?
I'm not gonna like, I don't have anybody's cards specifically to pull out, Chris, to talk about, you know, whether you're doing, this is just a conversation to talk about. Here's the one thing. Here's the one thing I'm gonna ask all white hats. So at the end of the game, when your line judge, field judge, whoever gives you the penalty card, and you look at the card and you see OC blank, UR blank, in your post-game discussion, go through the penalty card and say, hey, Chris, the OC that you called earlier in the game, what was that for? Take the note down so when you send me the report at home, you've got that information. That's the only thing I'm going to ask the White Hats to add to their post game, is just to go through the card, make sure it's filled out completely. So when you get home to do the report, you have all the information right there.
No, I get that, but I guess my question is, do you want more than just the word language versus taunt?
No, language is totally fine. If you're giving it for language, that's totally fine. Now, if it's language at an official, I would like those extra notes.
I agree with that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's move on. Rule study for this week is rough play, because again, I've seen a couple scenarios this year where I'm looking at simply game reports and some film, and I want to make sure that we're making sure that when we give a rough play, it's a rough play. Okay. So I've got a couple examples. Again, rule study. I want you guys to read through this week. But I got a couple examples and I want to go through this as a group to discuss. So let's talk about example number 1. Running back runs through the offensive line and gains 8 yards. After the whistle, A58 pushes B89 to the ground. What do we got?
You are
forced it.
You are dead ball.
No, you wouldn't call it UR dead ball. You'd call it UR late hit.
Late hit. Late hit.
Dead ball doesn't tell him anything.
It's a forced hit. He wasn't expecting it.
A what?
Forced hit.
No, a tourist hit is a hit that occurs away from the play. That's the intent of that. If it's a push after, that's a late hit.
Any other thoughts on this one? I agree with Bill. It is a late hit. A tourist hit is, like Bill said, it takes away from the ball, usually during a play. It can happen after a whistle too, but if it's around the ball, in this scenario, we have a UR late hit. Okay. Number 2, QB throws the ball to receiver A5 and he runs 10 yards downfield and goes out of bounds at the A48 yard line. which is right in front of the team bench. Okay. While out of bounds, B92 tackles A5 to the ground. A68 comes into the pile to get his player. And while there, B98 drives his helmet into the back of A68. What have we got?
That's my quadruple UR.
Piling on, spearing.
Spearing,
Yeah. Tackling out of bounds. 3 of them? Is there 4, Al?
3
No,
URs
I'm
and a
joking
rough
about a
play.
game I had.
And 1 rough play.
3 URs and 1 rough play.
Where's the rough play? The helmet?
The helmet to the back.
The helmet to the back. So the first UR is it goes out of, tackles him out of bounds. The second is the pile on. And the third, what's the third UR?
Well, he's not piling on, he's just going to the pile to get his player out.
So what are the 3 URs then?
Sorry, 2 URs and a rough play.
Where's the second UR?
The A6 comes into the pile, so he's piling on in that situation.
Uh,
Well, I will read it as he's just grabbing his
Yeah,
player out of the pile.
that doesn't say he's piling on. It says comes in to get his.
Okay. You have to see it, but I envision him coming into the pile and hitting somebody in the pile. So
The way it's written,
video.
the way it's written is the offensive lineman's coming into the pile to help his player up and get him out of the team bench. That's the way it's written. But
You got
this
one
is great
UR.
perspective. It's great perspective how some people can view something different than the way it was intended just based on words. So
And is 92, is he finishing his tackle? Was he already like half a step before he hit A5?
well, it says while
Or-
out of bounds. While out of bounds, he tackles A5 to the ground.
So you got a late hit and then you got a rough play.
That's exactly it. Okay. Are we clear on that one? Does anybody have any questions about this?
What would be the final yardage? Would be 40? Would be 15 for the UR and 25 for the rough play?
Yeah,
15 and 25.
So he has to be 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just checking. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the last
Plus
one.
ejection.
Yeah, plus the ejection. Last one, running back runs the ball outside the numbers and is tackled after making a first down at the A35 yard line. After the whistle, A62 and B78 exchange words, and A62 slaps B78 in the side of the helmet with an open hand. What do we got?
2 OCs and a UR head slap. Time to go home.
I'll second that.
No, just the rough play because he used
No.
his hand forcibly to the helmet.
Nope, it's an open hand.
Open hand.
Gotta, for the rough play, it's gotta be a fist.
In the UR section, there's actually a penalty called head slap.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But it's not
And it-
necessarily C's depending on what was said.
Yeah, Michelle, if you ask Andrew Allaby, it was legal when he played.
Yeah. Okay.
It couldn't be a UR, could it not?
What's
Wait,
that, Andrew?
Could it not just be a UR depending on what was said? Like, it doesn't say that there was anything, depending on what
Yeah.
the words were that was said back and forth.
Yeah.
Depending on the clarification of the exchange, it could just be a UR.
Right.
Right. But anyways, these 3 points were just to kind of get us thinking. And it's 3 points to talk about in your pregame heading out onto the field. Right? Like let's just have a great discussion. Take it, slow it down a little bit and figure out what it is we're applying onto the field. Okay, let's not rush to go to ejection right off the bat. Okay. All right. Thursday night, is he still on the call? We have Ray Muir night. This is going to be a great night. Okay, so I got a couple more pieces of information. So he started his officiating career in 1972. And Ray, if you want to tell me that's incorrect, let me know. But what we have on stats from the NBFOA, your first game on the field was 1972. He's been in 3 Vanier Cups in 83, 90, and 96, numerous Atlantic Bowls, Loney Bowls, high school finals, as well as football New Brunswick finals. So that's 52 years as a football official. I want to turn the mic over to Jack Anderson for a second, because I've got stories about Ray myself. We all have some Ray stories, but for some of the younger officials that haven't had the opportunity to work with Ray or know Ray well, Jack, what can you tell us about Ray Muir, the official?
Well, I think anybody that has officiated with Ray will know that he's intense. And when he's on the field, he's all business. Very seldom you see him smile or laugh. He just goes through about his business as usual, except for one game I was in. And this goes back a long ways when I was his umpire at an AUS game back when Larry Utek was the coach. During the game, Larry tried to get a hold of Ray, kept saying, Ray, I want to talk to you. I don't know how many times he asked, until one time Larry turned around and said, Ray, you're starting to piss me off. That was the one time I saw Ray sort of smile and he looked at me and smiled. I had to turn away from Larry Utek the same way. I said, I couldn't look him in the face because I was smiling and laughing at the same time too. Other than that, you'll never find a more knowledgeable official on the field at any time. Anything you see and hear, they're true. One thing you might know is that he has the term and the title language commissioner. It may not be known, but the person who gave him that title was at a roast back in 1992. And that person was my wife. So, and she would know a little bit about language if she knows Ray and I. So that's basically a couple of the things that I would say about Ray.
Thanks, Jack. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So this Thursday is going to be a great night. I strongly encourage as many officials to join as possible. We have a couple cars going out of Moncton. If you're interested in going to this game, contact me ASAP, because I'm putting the transportation together. St. John, if you guys are going to make this trip, can someone please take the bull by the horns and make the arrangements? But we have to let Pat Mullins know ASAP how many are coming, because he's booking a reservation for us after the game to go have a post-game beverage and some food to go with it. So again, get in touch with us. Get in touch with me right away if you're from Moncton, and somebody from St. John's got to look after this. All right,
Ray, is there a ceremony before the game to acknowledge him, or is it halftime? When are you planning on doing it?
It will be before the national anthem, is
Okay.
what I've been told. Yeah.
I'm going to be up in Fredericton for my son's graduation. He's at the fall convocation anyway, so I'm probably going to stick around and just join it. But unfortunately, I won't have the opportunity to bring anybody with me besides my family.
Okay.
But I'll swing by there probably on my way home.
Okay, sounds great. I was sent this today. Any officials that are planning to go to the Grey Cup, there is a get together for officials across the country. It's taking place on Friday night at 6 o'clock. And if you're going to the Grey Cup and are interested in going to this, get in touch with me and I'll get you all the information I've been given on it. All right. That's the end of your October 16th meeting. Any questions before I hit stop recording?
I have just a short one here. We had that situation in the game where we called a UR for the player body slamming the player to the turf. He literally picked him up and body slammed him. I know it's a UR, but what would we classify it for in the rule book as what type of UR?
Al, do you want to take that one?
Excessive tackle. Uh,
Giving him the business.
Did you not call flag on it because the whip would have already went?
I don't have my rule book right in front of me.
Intent to injure?
Well, if you're going down that avenue, then you
That's a
might
rough
want to
play.
start looking
That's a rough
at
play.
disqualification.
Mm.
I know at the youth sport level, they're tracking what we call a suplex tackle, and that's all they're recording it as. So if you call it a UR, just simply put a UR for body slam. It wasn't a tackle; it was a body slam.
Okay, thanks.
I don't know what else to tell you.
We threw the flag, and as we say, we had he slammed him to the turf, and then he stood over and taunted. So we had two clear penalties. But again, when we were discussing it, we just called it a UR, and afterwards it was like, well, what do we classify that as? And I think we said body slam because that's what it was. I know that's technically not in the rule book as a penalty for body slamming, but it was obvious and clear to everybody that it was a UR. It was unnecessary and it was rough. I don't think he was trying to injure him. I think he just got carried away. But so we flagged him for the 15, and then we threw 10 more on top for the taunting. But the paperwork side of it was like, what are we going to put that down as?
All right. Well, there.
Right, just before you go, Sean McElduff, are you still on? Sean's still here, or is he gone?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, so that was in the last 11 seconds of their game at Hong Kong. Okay, I just found the YouTube, so I'll watch that before I respond to our friend Ray Perkins.
Okay, I'm not sure how clear it's going to be. I think the video was pretty messed up.
Yeah.
They were looking for a call on their last play, but they didn't get it, so they weren't too happy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have access to the huddle too, but this will give me a time sequence anyhow.